Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing a draw with me video. This is the first time I've done this type of video, so please excuse if there's any discrepancies in the video format or any mistakes and such. I decided to speed up the sketching portion of the video quite a bit compared to the painting portion, as I felt like the painting portion was more interesting. This painting is of my OC. She doesn't have a name, but she's supposed to be based off of a ladybug. I plan to make a whole series of this kind of garden fairy type OCs. However, she's the only one I've done so far. I've been doing quite a few paintings recently because I've just finally had a moment to kind of catch my breath after a bunch of different exam seasons that have passed, as it is close to the end of the year. Unfortunately, because of that, there's another exam season coming up in the next week or two, so I'll have to be preparing for that. For that reason, you probably won't see me posting for around a week, I want to say. Maybe I likely end up posting next week, but the week after, I'm sure I won't have anything posted, and yeah, for most weeks of June, I likely won't. I'm curious to hear about what you guys are doing over the summer. For me, I'm doing a summer program at a local community college. They actually offer free college credits to high schoolers who sign up. I sketched her clothes off camera because I just felt like I wanted to zoom in a little bit, and the camera was kind of getting in my way. Let me know if you guys enjoy this type of content. I'm not really exactly sure what to make for my videos, even though this is a new channel. I just don't know exactly what the type of videos I want to make are. But I do enjoy Draw With Me style videos for my own viewing, so I assumed that maybe my viewers would enjoy this as well. Honestly, I've been in quite the art slump recently, and a lot of the things that I've been making are things that I don't enjoy looking at. Not necessarily that I don't like drawing them, just that I don't like how the end result turned out, and that was sadly the case for this drawing. But I had already spent an hour on this drawing, and I didn't really have any more time to film this again, so I ended up having to just go with this video. If time allows it, I might try posting another one of these this week, in hopes of kind of redeeming myself, I suppose. I forgot to mention the fact that I just pulled out my gouache set and have now started the painting process. I use the Himi gouache palettes. I got this several years ago. As you can kind of tell by its current state, they're a bit beat up, but they work amazing, and they've lasted me a long time, and the paint has barely decreased in quantity. Himi, if you want to sponsor me. I started here with an underpainting. I regret using green as my underpainting color, as normally I use magenta, but this time around I decided to try green because I thought it would be more cohesive of a color palette, considering she is a forest-dwelling creature. But it didn't really end up working out the way I wanted it to, and it kind of clashed with the way her dress looked. She does have two types of dresses. She does have two main outfits. One is like a black and white outfit, similar to how an actual ladybug is, and the other one is this dress that I drew her in this time around. And it's like a pink and whitish green type dress. It's supposed to be like an empress waist style dress. This character was actually based off of a dream I had. In the dream, I was a ladybug, and I don't exactly remember what happened in the dream, but I remember being very scared because everything was really big and I was really small. I woke up from that dream, and honestly, I don't know why I thought I was a ladybug, but somehow I just assumed I was. I couldn't see myself, but for some reason I just assumed I was a ladybug. Anyways, after I woke up from that dream, I was like, I should make a ladybug character. And this was the product of that revelation. I I honestly love drawing this character, as she's really fun and pretty to draw. Unfortunately, I didn't capture her likeness very well in this particular drawing, even though usually she's one of my best subjects. If you've seen my previous sketchbook tour, you've definitely seen her before. Later you will see I tried doing gradient on her hair because she does actually have a gradient in her hair. However, after I did her wings, the gradient ended up kind of blending into the color of her wings and not really working out the way I wanted it to. I will cut myself a little bit of slack, as this is my first time being filmed while I draw in entirety, and I've never really done that before. I'm very excited for the summer because honestly 10th grade has just been horrible. A lot of people say that 11th grade is the worst year, but if 10th grade was this bad, I'm kind of worried for how 11th grade will be. There was just so much work and I don't know, I was just swamped with a whole bunch of different things, as well as extracurriculars really did seal the deal there. If you're enjoying the video so far, please give a like or subscribe. I feel annoying saying that, but it really would help out the channel. And also, I do want to try to get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, maybe? If that would be possible. I mean, only 494 left, right? I'm really grateful for all the people who take the time out of their day to watch my videos, and I hope more people will do so. I hope my channel could grow to more people. The real reason oh my gosh, I just realized the angle of my paintbrush is really funny. I'm sorry for that. I don't actually have a real tripod, so the way I've been doing it is just stacking a bunch of textbooks on my laptop holder. It's been working, but I kept accidentally knocking it over, which is why the camera is shaking so much. I've always wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I always had that doubt in my mind that I wouldn't really do well, or my YouTube videos wouldn't be of much quality. But I am pretty proud of myself for posting relatively regularly. I do realize it's been about 2 weeks since I've posted, but that's just because I haven't had that much time to actually post stuff. I'm planning on posting at least once a week over the summer, since I usually have a lot of free time over the summer. I really do tend to be my biggest critic when it comes to the way my art turns out. I feel like I can do a lot of sketchbooking really well, but I'm not very good at doing finished pieces. So I'm planning to do more of those here on this channel, and as well as on my Instagram. Sorry for the fact that I keep covering it all up because of the angle of this video. It was the only angle that I could film this in. It made it look kind of odd. I do zoom in. Yeah, there you go. I do zoom in at some point because I realized, wow, I'm actually being a terrible film person right now. YouTuber, whatever. I don't really feel like a YouTuber. But, I do post videos on YouTube, so there you go, right? Here I was trying to do that gradient I was talking about earlier, and it looked alright, but yeah, like I said, I do tend to be my biggest critic. Honestly, I think it's justified here though. It really didn't look that great. Like I said, I do cut myself a little bit of slack because this is my first time being filmed while painting or drawing in general. And it was kind of nerve-wracking, honestly. Even though I was in full control, I really could just have turned it off if I didn't want people to see what I was doing. But, I think I might cut this video just a little bit here, just because I feel like I'm taking too long to get through all of this. I did decide to go over this with pen, just a regular old ballpoint pen, after I was done, just randomly in class one day, and I actually do like how it turned out with the pen. I think what was kind of missing was the line art. I have been trying to avoid line art just a little bit, while I'm rendering, just because I like how that looks, but I've realized that it's a lot easier to do no line art when you're doing like things with like a lot more control than you have with gouache, which you do have a lot of control with gouache, but I just don't have like small enough brushes to really get into those like nitty-gritty details. So what I found is like the best time to not have line art is like when you're doing like acrylic markers or like colored pencils or something, or even on like digital art, as I've been doing digital art. I think I mentioned that earlier more, and it's really fun to like kind of render digitally. So if you guys want to see that, then I would love to post digital stuff on here. I just wanted to keep it mostly exclusively on Instagram because it's a lot easier to just post like a photo of what I did online, and that just makes the most sense to my brain. But if you guys want to see like a real-time like video time-lapse of me painting digitally, then that would be great. I would love that, and yeah, so I like those videos personally, so if you guys are into that, just let me know. I'd love to. Originally, I was planning on getting this out on Thursday, which is the day I'm filming this right now, this voiceover right now, but this is actually taking a lot longer than my other videos that I filmed, so this is gonna take a while. So this is probably gonna come out on Friday, maybe. I'm curious to hear if any of you guys are going to the Backrooms movie. My friends and I are planning on going likely next weekend, and I feel like it'll be such a fun time. I used to be really into the Backrooms back when it was really popular, back when it was a really fresh topic, I would say like 2021 to 2022. That was honestly the time to be into the Backrooms. I was one of the very few people who really liked it in my area, at least. I was into a lot of horror things, and honestly, I still am to this day. I feel like horror is what shaped me in my media consumption to this day. I'm curious to hear about the type of things that you guys were into back in that time. I feel like we were all just a little bit delirious back in those days, back in like from like 2020 to like, I would say like 2022. That was like a whole time. I feel like those years in general were very pivotal for most people, regardless if there was a pandemic, but the fact that there was, I think, added more spice, I guess, to the world. Oh, I messed up there. I feel like not a lot of people are into analog horror these days. I feel like analog horror was such a great thing back like 2 years ago or so, but nowadays nobody really ever talks about it. I'll be honest, I wasn't really into very niche backrooms or like SCP style stuff, and also with analog horror. None of my interests in those particular areas, except for maybe I would say the backrooms. I'll be honest, I wasn't particularly niche about any analog horror in particular. I honestly liked a lot of the more popular ones, but they were popular for a reason. I think my favorite back in the day was probably Vita Carnis or Mandela Catalog. Those two were obviously really popular, but they were really good, and I really enjoyed them. I actually think I did draw a Mandela Catalog character last sketchbook tour, if you were there for that. If you weren't, you should watch it. After this one, of course. Usually I'm better at gouache than this. This is not exactly the best representation of my gouache abilities. I'll likely be posting again sometime maybe this week or next week. It'll likely be my last post on here for, I want to say like a good 3 weeks, because that is my exam time. That video will hopefully be a bit of a redemption of whatever this video was meant to be. Thank you for staying this long. I'm not sure if this video is exactly the most exciting video ever, but if it was, then do comment below. Here I'm just doing her little wings. I tried giving her butterfly-esque wings, but giving her more like, more of a ladybug pattern. I honestly don't switch from brush to brush very often. I don't do it in digital or traditional, actually. I honestly just think it's too much of a hassle. I just prefer sticking with one, and honestly I forget to even do that in the first place. I just kind of like paint with what I have. I feel like my drawings at home are so much better than the drawings I have at school. Even when they get recognized, I just feel like they're not really my best work and I could really do a lot better. Maybe it's the existence of prompts and assignments that make it more annoying for me. I guess that's why I would never be able to go to art school. What I realize is a lot of artists that on here do go to art school, which I think is really cool, and I'm a bit jealous because honestly I'm not the best at art to go to art school, and I realize I'm being a bit self-deprecating in this case. In this video in particular, I'm not sure exactly why, but I don't know. Like I said, I'm in a bit of an art slump, and I feel like everybody around me is like, wow, your art is amazing, or this and that. And I really don't see where they're coming from, and I know that's that very classic imposter syndrome. Maybe I'm just rambling here, but I don't know. I feel like all artists struggle from this, that feeling of like, my art really sucks and everybody else is great at art, but I just really suck. I guess that's that feeling of art block. I wouldn't necessarily say I have art block, just like a disapproval of everything I draw. I think the best thing to do in this case is to just take a step back from drawing. That's usually what I do during this time. Besides, I have exams anyways, so I wouldn't be able to draw even if I wanted to. I'm really excited for next year because I'm actually taking photography next year, and I'm curious to see how that'll end. I'm not very good of a photographer, nor am I good at composition in general, but I'm really interested to try something a little bit new, a little bit different. If it interests you, I might try doing a video like painting my own photography piece that I tried to do. The particular photo that I want to do is actually from quite a while ago that I've been kind of putting on the back burner, but I think now is a great time to try doing that since I have just a little bit of free time. I feel like this year they're coming out with so many great movies. Like, they're coming out with the Backrooms movie, the Chikawa movie is coming soon, and the Madoka movie is coming out soon, which is great. I feel like they've been delaying the Madoka Magica movie for so long. Like, I don't remember exactly when, but I remember when I first got into it, like 2 years ago, they were planning on making the movie that is supposed to be coming out this year, and now they're still pushing back the date, and they likely will again, I think, but you know. I feel like movie theater culture has declined so much these days, and that's not to say, oh, Gen Z is ruining everything, you know, because obviously I'm part of Gen Z, but it's more of just that, like, I feel like movie culture has been declining so much recently, mostly just because of how pricey all of the movies are these days. Honestly, I'm part of Gen Z, but I still remember when movies weren't exactly that expensive and they were just more of like a fun little excursion that you could take with your family or friends, rather than taking out a second mortgage, basically. I really like how her dress looks in this particular case. It kind of reminds me of a tulip for whatever reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but it does. Although I don't think that ladybugs eat tulips. Wait, what do ladybugs even eat? I actually don't know. I feel like that makes me sound stupid, but if you know, then put it in the comments, I guess, you know? I think this year I'm definitely going to try to spend a little bit more time actually learning art rather than just kind of like, I don't know, kind of like faking it till I make it, I guess. Because that's usually what I end up doing, and I don't hate how it looks, but I do think it could be improved if I actually just, you know, like tried to learn a little bit, but you know. This might not happen right away, but I know that at some point in this footage, it'll look like I'm not doing anything at all when I'm actually working on her shoes and her, like, the bottom of her feet, and I didn't pan to that. Like I said, please excuse my terrible cameramanship or whatever it's called. It's absolutely atrocious, I know, I'm working on it. Also do excuse the quality of the camera. I am just using my iPhone, and I'm gonna be honest, it's not the most recent one. It's like, I think I have an iPhone 13 or something, or maybe an iPhone 12, I'm not sure. But yeah, I've had it for several years, and honestly, it's been, oh, there we go. I finally flipped down. I finally showed the bottom now. Honestly, I feel like you don't really need the most recent one, that it's kind of like, I feel like if you get one every single year, that's kind of a little bit overconsumption. I'm not sure if that's a bit of a hot take, but yeah. I'm gonna try to make an effort to have a screen-free summer this summer, except for obviously posting. I want to try to avoid like doom scrolling, because I end up just opening Instagram and just like rotting in my bed all evening after I come home from school or from like whatever else I was doing that day. But I'm gonna try to avoid that. I've been trying to invest more in physical media, like single purpose media, I guess, like an MP3 player I recently got, and I also want to get a 3DS XL. They're so hard to come by and they're so expensive, but I have been saving up for a while with like birthday money and like things like that, and hopefully I can convince my parents to let me get a 3DS XL. So yes, mother, if you're watching this, you know what to do. I also want to try to get into other hobbies. Like I said, I'm not really sure if I've already talked about this. I actually like just have been jumping around the footage and like adding different things, adding a different voiceover to each clip as I come up with things to say, because I'm not really scripting this, but so I might have said this before, but I'm trying to like get into other hobbies other than just art, because literally all I do is draw and doom scroll. So we're gonna try to avoid that. I want to try to get into like upcycling clothes and like sewing and stuff. I do have a sewing machine. It's kind of broken because it was pretty cheap. It's like really old, and like it was like on sale, I think. I don't know, it was like really cheap when we got it. And it's kind of broken. I'm gonna see if I can fix it up because I want to use it and I want to like upcycle clothes. Because I just think it's really fun and cool, I think, to like reuse something that you didn't need and, you know, put it back to use again. And like I said, I also want to like kind of revisit my childhood obsession with Nintendo and like other physical gaming like software, like physically in your hands rather than just like playing on your PC, because that's generally what I do. I generally just open my PC and go on Minecraft, and that's all I do. I used to be really obsessed with my Switch when I was like in elementary school to like middle school, but then for some reason in like 8th grade I like stopped like doing anything with my Switch all of a sudden, and that's just how it's been for the past like 3 years. So I definitely want to get back into it, because I do think like gaming is good for you in a healthy quantity. Like it's really beneficial for like reflexes and such. I'm curious to see what you guys play, if you guys are like on Switch or PS4 or whatever PS model has come out, PSP I guess. For me, my like 2 favorite games are like Devil May Cry and Resident Evil. I like all of the like their respective sequels and such, but I feel like Resident Evil 1 and Devil May Cry 1 are just like very peak. They're very classic. I love their like quality, like the kind of vibe around them, especially Devil May Cry 1. They have that very gothic kind of vibe to it, and it's just like it's really pleasing to look at, and I don't know, it brings me back, I guess, to like memories of like elementary school and middle school of like figuring out how to do things and such. I've only recently started drawing OCs, actually. I mean, I've had OCs for a while, but I felt that I couldn't properly depict them on paper, so I never really tried. But I've been trying to, like, do that because I realize a lot of people like really enjoy putting OCs on paper and just kind of like thinking up concepts and ideas for them. So I was like, alright, I'll try that, why not? And I honestly have to say I'm completely obsessed. If I don't know what to draw, I just draw an OC, and that takes a lot of pressure off of what I want to draw next. Sketchbooking has really been fun in this past like year. Has it been a year? Yeah, it's been about a year. Since I started like actually sketchbooking in the sense that I like scrapbook as well within my sketchbook, which if you've seen either of my sketchbook tours that I've posted, then you might be familiar with that kind of style that I use, where I kind of take some scraps from like things of my things I like encounter in my daily life, and I kind of just collage them along with some art, and it's really soothing, as well as, you know, collecting stickers is really nice. I love collecting stickers. I have like a whole like rack or like drawer, I guess, I'm not really sure what you'd call it, in my like in my desk that is just solely for stickers. And honestly, like, maybe I need another one. I don't know, like, you can never have too many stickers, right? But yeah, those are kind of the hobbies that I want to try and get into this summer. I'm curious to hear if you guys have any hobbies that you want to maybe start up or like revisit like I am. So yeah, like I said, I did actually, off camera, I added like a little bit of ballpoint pen to this drawing. So eventually, at some point, it'll cut to like ballpoint pen suddenly being on the painting. But yeah, this will just about conclude this video. Thank you so much if you made it this far. Please excuse me for my incoherent rambling. And thank you for joining me on my very first Draw With Me. Have a great day. Thank you.